Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is creating unity through music. Or as I also like to say, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. And I'm here in Studio One of the worldwide headquarters of the Planetary Gig Society once again. And we have another special treat, a little compilation today for you. I did one earlier of the first 11 podcasts that have been on Planetary Gig Talk. That was the holiday compilation version, number 1. This will be Winter 2019, compilation 2. And we'll hear some segments from some additional podcasts. I have to say that this has been such a great opportunity to have amazing conversations with just fabulous, smart, and inspirational musicians and other folks, and really couldn't do it without Human Factor, LLC. If you don't know Human Factor, they do podcasts in, there's the bird clock, in the Washington, D.C. area. Blake Althen and Sweet Paula have really kept this podcast going. Blake has given me so much advice. He's really a great friend, and I couldn't do this without him. Paula puts these things up every week and does a great job. I just wanted to give a real shout out to them. Blake is on our band of advisors with Eric Weinberg, who has also given me a lot of great assistance with doing these podcasts. So first up from podcast number 12 is Reverend Kim Capps, great friend, great singer, blues musician, and she had just recently produced, written, sang, made a whole EP with a bunch of great original songs. And here she's talking about sort of the process or what that meant to her.
But there's something that connects us. Yeah. And it kind of sets us on the same rhythm and making music too is just an amazing community builder. It's I totally love everyone I made music with for the CD, and that can be tense work, but it was just a loving experience to make something like that, and to have everybody bring what they bring is just so fabulous.
I mean, Kim is really right. There is something that is just great about being with musicians when they're trying to help create something, songs, a CD, whatever. I mean, there's such a wonderful, loving spirit that I've found. I've seen. I haven't made a CD really. We produced one time, Songs of Peace and Forgiveness, but I haven't created my own CD yet. But next I was able to talk with he's such a great guy. He works at my office, Moe Jackson. And I was telling about these podcasts, and I found out I had known, I guess, that he was a DJ. He's very, very serious about his DJing, and he's DJ'd some of the parties that we've had, and such a great guy. And I asked him a little bit about, what makes him tick and what he likes about DJing, and here's what he had to say about, somebody asks him if he's got a song, makes a request.
As far as my future, I just want to continue to make people happy, play what they want to hear, the music they want to hear. I just love what I do. I just love DJing. It really makes me happy when someone requests a song and they be like, and it happens to me a lot. They'll come to me and they be like, I know you probably don't have this song in your library, but do you have such and such and such? And I'd be like, I got you. And they'd be like, really? Because, just being a DJ, and I guess would say as far as being an African-American DJ, when you do a mixed crowd, A lot of people think you don't have that music, like you want to
Right.
get out and have that genre, but you have it. And when you have it, they be like, wow, you really got that. And like I know one time I was at a bar and a lady came up to me and she wanted some Asian house music
Wow.
and Arab. And she was like, I know you probably don't have no Arab. I had it. And,
Wow.
it made her and her family so proud that at the end of the night, like they all came up and just gave me a kiss on my cheek because they was like, I would never thought you would have our music. And I was like, if you call yourself a DJ, you got to have the music. You can't call yourself a DJ and be limited to music. You got to have it all. You got to have country, house, top 40, pop, R&B, whatever it is. If you're a DJ, you got to have it.
So I learned a lot about DJing from Moe. It was a great conversation. And then I had the great opportunity to interview a strange dude, Erasmus Caffery, who has a book out called Fonging for the Soul. And I mean, you can listen to the interview, but fonging is essentially when you take a rack out of your oven, you tie 2 shoestrings around the rack, you hold the rack up, put the other end of your shoestrings around your fingers, you put them in your ears, you bend over slightly from your waist, and people tap on the rack with wooden salad tongs and screwdrivers and turkey basers and stuff. And the healing sounds of the universe you hear in your head. And I asked him, well, could fonging contribute to world peace, did he think, these healing sounds of the universe? Here's what he had to say.
I do think that it can be a contributing factor because if everybody fonged, you kind of get a little bit better perspective on life. There's empathy, there's forgiveness, vulnerability. We've talked about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, and plus these healing sounds are just, they're wild. And it is sort of a basic form of music. It's the vibrations of the universe. I mean, right there. And the more people who fong, I think it's just the better, we need more people fonging.
Well, I suppose it doesn't hurt. There aren't really like side effects or anything, are there?
No, I can't think of anything other than perspective, sort of hilarity, inanity, collective good fun and weirdness.
So, I mean, it's pretty crazy, and you should check that out. Then I had the great pleasure of talking with a professional colleague, Sharon Kneebone, who was a singer, and she's in the association community, nonprofit membership organization. A community is a CEO of an association, and we had done some programs at association conferences, bringing people together through music. I talked with her a little bit about the stress of the job and what the role of music for her in that connection.
If you come into my office, you will find more often than not there's music on in the background. And I have all different playlists that I put together to get me through my workday, because the job of a CEO in an association, regardless of size, comes with a lot of stress. We expect that. It's part of the gig. But music can really help alter your mindset. It can help you concentrate. It can make you feel happy. It can make you feel relaxed.
Well, that's for sure, Sharon. It certainly can do all those things. Next up, I had the great privilege to interview a fabulous guitar player, musician, great friend, Scott Ballantine. He and Andra Faye had just played a concert at our house. And I asked, what did music really mean to him? And this is what he said.
I don't know. It gave me. I would describe it as being a sense of who I was, and it wasn't just musical. It was sociological and political. At least the way I approached it, and the people I was around approached it.
In what way do you mean?
I don't know what I mean. It just was who I was. Music.
Yeah, it led to interaction with people who had similar interest and
it was what I took, and it was what I took pride in. It was the achievement of my life. I remember, you're a lawyer. I went to law school, and I was a lawyer in a firm, and they found out that I played music, and they wanted this band that I was involved in to play at one of their functions, the law firm. You can already imagine how much fun this was. But one of the guys came up to me and said apologetically, I'm sorry, you have to do this at the party, you know? And I said, you mean play in the band? And he said, yeah, I'm sorry that you have to do that. And I said, you don't get it. This is the best thing I do.
Yeah. Right.
This is the hardest thing I do. It's much harder than being a lawyer. You don't understand.
I understand that.
I know you do,
me,
but
yeah.
I was telling him, you really don't get it. But this is what I do, the lawyer thing.
And I tell you, I think that's true. It's much harder playing music than being a lawyer. Next, I had the chance to interview Andra Faye. I was playing with Scott at our house, as I mentioned, and she had been for years with Sapphire, the Uppity Blues Women, with Gaya Degbalola and Ann Rabson. And that was quite a groundbreaking group of women out there playing the blues, middle age, etc. And she talked a little bit about what her thoughts were for what we can do with music and how we can use music to make a better place around here.
I think I shared this with you earlier. Just we had the opportunity to travel pretty extensively, and we got to go to places where we didn't speak the language. And I got to see firsthand that music is indeed a universal language. So if we were in Brazil or Portugal or wherever, Spain, where they didn't speak much English, we would try, and they wouldn't get our jokes because a lot of our music was humorous. So it'd be like, the joke would fall flat. So we would just try our best to play as well as we could too. And people still got it. They were dancing and they might still sing along or, Actually, in all those countries, they spoke English better than we spoke their language, whatever it was, which was a real eye-opener too, But I just think that, I've seen some of those videos where they'll have folks playing in different countries the same song.
Yeah, playing for change.
Playing for change, I love that.
Yeah, it's fabulous.
But I really do think music is just such a common bond, and that it reaches across all sorts of walls, if you want to build them, or borders. I've always been a fan of country and blues music, and white and black folks were playing music together long before anybody said they could. You find folks who are playing music and you play music together. So that's my hope, is that we can just keep on knocking down those borders with a few tunes. I don't know.
Keep on knocking down the borders, more gigs around the world. Well, Andra Faye was certainly right about that, and in my opinion, knock down those walls, knock down those borders, build communities, build bridges. Next, I had the great pleasure to talk with a fabulous singer, Nina Casey. I knew her from the Archie Edwards Blues Heritage Foundation, the barbershop, and so I've seen her sing a number of times, and she's fabulous, and she has a great, great story. I hope you'll listen to that. But I asked her a little bit about, kind of what is your purpose? What is your mission? What are you doing? What drives you when you sing? Here's what she said.
I have thought about that a lot. When you watch entertainers, the big ones, the ones that make it really big, they often have big visions and dreams or things that they want to teach or educate about. And, those are role models in a lot of ways. And I've spent a lot of time wrestling with that. I think I have to sing because I feel so much. And singing is one of the few places where you're allowed to express all of that. And so from a purely selfish level, it's the place where I can let it all out and use a set of tools. Before we started recording, we were talking sort of about how music transcends and using the tools that add meaning, that are beyond the notes, right? Using that to express the things that I feel is really, like, I don't know how I lived those 15 years without the ability to do that. Maybe because I was doing the classical stuff, which is very much, by the book, exactly the way it is, the intention of the composer is what's most important sort of environment. Jazz is sort of a hybrid of those two things. It's a little bit of intention of composer and then taking and flying with it, right? Soaring through it. So that's me personally. But that's not, that's the reason you sing in your bathroom or around the house like my mom did, right? Like, I really wrestled with this for a long time because I was looking at those, the role models, the people who make it big, and going, they've got these big dreams that I don't have any big dreams like that. But I think I know what my purpose is. I think that there are two kinds of people, right? There's people who have big dreams and do big things and impact in large, sort of big ways. And then there are people who change the world by serving the person in front of them and the individual, and change the world through the small things that they do and the way that they touch and take care of other people. And I see that as being my role in sort of the big music picture, is that I see my job as being one, when I'm on stage, of comforting other people. Because I know that sometimes the things that I feel, I feel like music is the only place where I get the opportunity to say, this is what I'm feeling right now. And I think when I look out at the eyes of the people that are listening to me, my hope is that if the music is touching them, it's because they're going, yeah, I feel that too. And there is something so important about knowing that you're not alone, whether it be in that sad moment of deep sorrow or absolute joy. Like, there's nothing like somebody who shares it in that same way, where you're like, I get it. I'm there with you. And you are experiencing that together. And so, sorry, I'm getting a little teary-eyed about it, but I really, really do. That's what I hope I do. So no big plans to change the world or educate people, but this world can be a really lonely place. And I hope that what I'm doing to the eyes that are looking back at me is I hope they know they're not alone, and that they're loved, and that the things that they feel and need are important to me too. Even if the only thing I can do is just sort of be that mirror for them. So.
Ooh, that was pretty special. 9 is so great. Then for podcast, it was number 19 at this point. I interviewed a really great friend. I've known Michael Lessin through music, but also my wife and good friend of his in high school were good friends. Eileen Donahoe, who was Grant Dermody's wife, and Mike is just A+ guy, fabulous person, great human being, amazing guitar player, just really puts it out there. He's one of the nicest people that I've met in my life. And I asked him a little bit about, what he has seen as the power of music, having played, hundreds of thousands of gigs and played with so many people. And so here's what Mike had to say about that.
I think the common thread is happiness and healing. I think that's, obviously it spans the breadth of emotions from sadness to joy, but you could play the deepest blues song and make somebody cry or make yourself cry. I've experienced that myself, just playing and getting emotional, or playing something incredibly happy and jumping up and down and doing scissor kicks in the air, doing crazy things. But I think to anything to make somebody feel whatever it is they feel, to bring that out, to make them become in touch with something inside, maybe something less on the surface, but something deeper. And I think that's what the importance of music is. And it's universal, as everybody else, I'm sure, you've interviewed talks about how music is just, you don't have to speak, music is a language, but you don't have to speak the same language to appreciate the musical form.
Yeah, when you were talking about that, I just thought, it's almost like finding about your own truth.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Because I think I guess that was one thing I was thinking, preparing for this, is if you're just, and I've done this, I'm sure many times, you're just phoning it in because you're playing a song that you don't really want to play. I've played in bands where I just really wasn't interested in the material, and I'm just playing, and I think that's obvious to the audience. It's obvious to myself when I'm playing, but I think when I'm really feeling it and it's touching my soul and I'm getting to that place that I'm trying to get to, I think the audience can really pick up on that, and they can see that, they can feel that, and I think that's part of what brings the joy, if you will, to the audience, is seeing that the connection, getting that connection, and then you're feeding back and forth, because once they're getting that connection, they're getting more excited and jumping up and down and moving around, clapping, singing along, and that feeds you, and it's sort of like a spiraling effect in a good way.
I have to say it just never ceases to amaze me how great these conversations have been, how much insight people really provide and have been able to, willingly volunteer to provide in order to have these conversations. I'm so really very appreciative to everyone that I've talked with in these podcasts. And that maybe goes double for our next guest. Jane Callen is a neighbor of mine. She's not a musician per se, but we've certainly been at many, many events at our respective houses and other places where a lot of us have played and sang and shaken shaker eggs and you name it. And Jane also happens to be a medical technician and also is involved in volunteering for hospice. And she found out about an instrument called a body tambura that they make in India to put on the bodies of people as they are dying if they don't have morphine or something like that to relieve the pain. And so here's how she described when she decided to run out and get one of these body tamburas and see if it might be something she could use in her own hospice volunteer practice.
So then the next thing I did was Google it. Of course, I went to Dr. Google to see if anyone else had heard of this thing or used it, and saw that there was a hospice in England that was actively employing it. And so again, I looked at the watch, realized it was 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. in England, and I called the guy at the hospice in England and said, introduced myself and said, so I'm reading about this amazing research involving the use of a body tambura in hospice. Please tell me, what's your experience been? And he did. He said it was remarkable that he had one, just next to him while we were talking, and
Wow.
he used it, the day before. And I said, it's difficult to learn. And he reassured me that it was not. And I said, well, what if your patients or clients really are not able to do it themselves? And he talked about how you could lie it on their body and strum it for them, and it was remarkable. And I asked him where he got it, and he gave me the name of a luthier in Germany. And so I thanked him and hung up and got on the phone again and called the luthier in Germany.
Wow, a woman of action.
Who didn't speak much English, but enough to understand my request, and I ordered one.
And Jane did indeed order a body tambura. I have seen it. I have had it placed on my body and played, and it is quite a profound and remarkable instrument for healing per se. I'm not sure there are many in the United States, if any other ones than these. And it's got 30 strings tuned in D and A, and it's really profound. So let you listen to how Jane played the body tambura during the podcast interview.
So here it is.
So that is really amazing and profound. Again, a body tambura used specifically to put on a person and help alleviate pain. Next up, I was able to interview a good friend, great songwriter, guitar player, had a band up in Alaska. See him around a lot, hangs out with Mariana Previty, and he was a very introspective guy. I mean, he said music saved my life. He grew up on a commune. He was busking in the streets when he was 15 in Baltimore and D.C. And, you know, he literally says in this podcast that music saved his life. But here's a couple of his closing comments from the interview.
You know, I always tell Mariana that I was sent here for a reason. You know, I never thought I'd come back to DC to live, and now I'm kind of back in the belly of the beast. And as far as this age of dysfunction goes, I think music can definitely help soothe the hatred that's being, cultivated right now. And the funny thing about music in general and especially songwriting is that everybody has a different interpretation about what you're writing. Where you could be writing about one thing and they could be thinking something totally different. So I think we just need to hope and pray for the best and, keep playing and loving each other and making great music. That's all we can really do. And, hopefully the Great Spirit will help us rise.
Right on with that, brother. I'm with you. So for the last segment in this compilation, I was very fortunate to be able to talk with a fabulous singer, Adalia Tara. She had just come out with a new album, maybe in the last year or so, which is fabulous. She's such a great singer and songwriter. She is the daughter of good friends of ours, Jane and Wib. Jane also is a great artist and created the Planetary Gig Society logo and the Planetary Gig Talk logo, and so I'm always appreciative of that. But I asked Adalia Tara about a song on her CD called Infinite and some language in the song. And so here's what she had to say about that.
So that song was all about, confronting these self-imposing limitations that we put on ourselves. And kind of recognizing if we stay in that life of just limiting ourselves or whatever that is, that it slowly will swallow and like just suck all the life out of us. And that was kind of what that was. It's like, I won't be swallowed by the night. Like I'm again recognizing this, that I'm infinite, that anything is possible, that's where, where I can truly be and exist. And that song too, I really kind of wrote for whoever, would hear that song. It's like reminding them, like, you're infinite too. Like you can do you can do anything. Like, we were born infinite. And that part, it's so funny because I wrote that song, and I remember the very first time performing that song was kind of a risk for me because I had, it was just a different style than I had done on the rest of the album. And I decided to play it one night, and it was very new. And I had one little kind of instrumental interlude part. And I actually hadn't even come up. The song was so new, but I had some friends in the room, and they're like, "Come on, play that song you played us the other day." And I hadn't even written the part on this instrumental, section. And in the moment, I was in the room with everyone, just trying to be as present as I possibly could, and just looking into everyone's eyes. And that lyric just came out of my mouth. We don't know what the future brings, or I don't know what the future brings, so let's just sing. And I actually got the whole room to sing it with me, which was so cool, right? Because the song, again, it was like, we don't know, but we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen the next day, but like, let's just sing. Let's be with each other. Let's do what we can in this moment, in this powerful moment. And it was such a cool thing to have everyone doing that together. And I ended up just keeping the lyric, and I kept it in the song. And that was, it was really cool just to create something in the moment like that, totally spontaneous.
So I will certainly echo that and just say, hey, we don't know what the future is going to bring, but let's sing. Let's get together. Let's play some music. Let's shake some eggs. Let's dance. Let's, use our intention, create a better place. I think we can. I know we can. We can bring peace to the world through music. So that's the Winter 2019 compilation. Not sure when I'll do the next one, but I'm very appreciative for everyone who listens, and I'll talk with you soon. All the best. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Planetary Gig Talk, Tales of Music and Magic. I'm your host, Jefferson Glassy, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society. We talk with musicians and others about the power of music and how we can use music to help create a better world. Please check out our website, www.planetarygigs.org, for information about some of the organizations promoting music and musicians, resources about the power of music, books, movies, articles, including new research on music and the brain. We welcome your support. The Planetary Gig Society is a Section 501c3 charitable organization, and you can donate on the website. You also can receive a free email signature block demonstrating your support for Planetary Gig Society. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Planetary Gigs. And we want to thank fabulous musician and teacher Eric Weinberg of Little Eric Studios for the Planetary Gig Talk music titled Chill Kid, It's Saul. So please check out Planetary Gig Talk on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Subscribe and hear all the upcoming episodes. Thanks very much.